Hello and welcome everyone to the Overwatch All-Stars Brawl Volume 2, presented by Star Esports. Today we have a double elimination tournament dedicated to our Overwatch Tier 3 community. Today we are going to be having the teams of Moonlight and Aptyx Esports going up against one another in match number 7 in the losers bracket. I'm going to be Sir Waltham today. I am joined by Poor Zach. Poor Zach, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good. I think we're gonna have a pretty good matchup here.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be very much so looking forward to it. Now, Porzak, do you have any expectations from these teams moving forward?
Expectations. I think starting off here on Temple of Anubis, I think that map's gonna be very close between these two teams. Both of them, I feel like definitely have the ability to perform on the 2CP map selections, but really it's gonna be coming down to who's got the better defense. So right now, I think we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens with that. But I think starting off, we're gonna have a really good map.
It's actually kind of funny that we're going to Temple of Anubis to start today. I was talking with my other co-caster Threepwood about how it seems like we never see anything but King of the Hill to start that control point style. So going on to this assault style map, it's gonna be a little bit refreshing to see it right out of the gates.
Yeah, it's also going to kind of lead for maybe a little bit different of map picking strategy because maybe the team who does win this first 2CP and maybe their team that feels a lot more comfortable on it, and you go into the King of the Hill map, and then you can't pick one after that, and maybe you pick another 2CP because normally when you're good on one 2CP, you're good on most of them is
Right.
mostly what I've seen. So depending on how the map pick system is going to be working here and who's going to take the first W, I think is really going to lead for the rest of the match.
Yeah, it's going to go back into that momentum factor that we talked about a little bit before in previous games, matches, bouts, whatever you like to call them. So I think it's going to be high impact, as you said, moving forward to how the teams are going to kind of carry themselves throughout. But while we have a few moments, we are just waiting on the teams to get all set up before we get started. We want to make sure to remind you guys keeping an eye out there for anybody you think is popping off, so you can put their name in the MVP chat. Let us know who you think is doing a great job. Show the teams and players that support.
Yeah, because I mean, being in the tier 3 scene, it's kind of a big stepping stone possibility wise, because you're gonna have people looking from tier 2 teams to maybe pick up some of these players and show them off on maybe an academy team or maybe a complete new organization that might be coming up. And I think that now is where you really want to shine, being in this tournament and kind of having all these eyes on you, and getting an MVP vote and winning that is absolutely a good way for everyone to be having their eyes onto you and see why they should pick you up as a player.
Yeah, very crucial that these players kind of get that recognition. That's what they're looking for. They're looking to be a cut above the rest, and they can do that with your help, Twitch chat. So give them a hand.
Yeah, why not? Help them out. Everyone wants to be there. Everyone wants to be the one everybody's got their eyes on. Everyone wants to make the big plays. Doesn't matter what kind of role they play, as long as they're able to put in some high impact. They could definitely have that chance to be that MVP.
Certainly. Now we will be starting on Temple of Anubis. There are just a few seconds before hero selections. We'll be lighting up the screen. Porzak, you have 5 seconds. What do you predict?
Double Shield, Doomfist, Reaper.
All right,
Lucio.
I completely agree. But it looks like at the gate on the side of Aptyx, who, attacking. We can't really say a whole lot concrete about them quite yet. Gonna be a little bit of a Pharah popping out. The Bastion, though, that's really what I'm looking for on the side of Moonlight.
Yeah, looking right here on the side of Moonlight, I'm actually kind of curious. They decided to go with an Ana over the Mercy, whether that might be because they want to have that nade to bring down, so that way Baptiste can get more heals onto everybody in case they start getting in a little bit of risky of a situation, and you have the nano boost. But it's kind of like a give and take. So you have that one target, but you can put out a high healing output on them, and then with the nade, of course, like I said, Baptiste can just do amazing work with that too. So the Ana pick is going to be a little hard depending on what they're going to play here on the offense, but with what it's looking like, I think they should be just fine.
Yeah, worth noting, neither a Reaper nor a Doomfist on either side of the field. Both going to be trying to get in some early damage, but getting a little bit clipped by that Bastion, having to take a little bit of a rougher corner. And right now, the Mei wall coming in from Sheep going to be blocking off a lot of Aptyx from getting through that choke too readily. And this Bastion is just doing his best to tear down these shields. Vanguard having a really tough time getting him up. But now the rotation's coming through. Linathan going to be setting up at that little doorway area, but the Bastion once again just continuing to tear through. We're going to be seeing the Immort field come out, the Accretion Rock as well from the side of Vanguard. Not going to be finding any purchase though And right now, a big anti-nade, and Vanguard's going to be cleaning up absolutely because of that. Alexio following up with the kill on the Bastion. It's just going to be the Sigma here trying to hold out, but it does not look long for the defending team.
Yeah, no, and at the start of the fight, you could see that the Pharah actually, Boat, was able to knock a couple people off again and again, so kind of made it hard for that shield to keep up there. Their Risa got knocked off, so they had to use the Sigma shield as their main shield, which is not normally what you want to do. And then as soon as the Risa gets back up there, I think it was Vanguard who fell, or not Vanguard rather, but Scribbles who fell down over to the point. Maybe there was a call to back up or something, but as soon as they did start backing up, that anti-nade came out, getting, I think, 4 people and just absolutely shredding them. So very good anti-nade as well, coming out from Alexio.
Couldn't have said it better. ZZ going to be switching on to the McCree, trying to perhaps deal with that Pharah a little bit more reliably. However, the team on the side of Aptyx looking a little bit spread out right now. It might be expected with a Widow and a Pharah. We're going to be seeing the tank trying to take the interior hole here, but it's not going to quite be working out for them as the Immort and Amplification field both coming out. Going to be netting a few kills in favor of Moonlight, and it looks like Aptyx not going to get too aggressive on that.
Yeah, you know, I mean, they just use the res, and now with all these people pushing up on you, you got to be really careful. You never know what they're going to have in the bank when it comes to ult-wise. But when you're looking at ults right now, one team does seem to be a little bit more favorable in that situation than others. And now, using the Visor, they almost have all of their ults on the side of Aptyx here. Meanwhile, almost none on Moonlight's side, which Boat going down now, or Boat taking down ZZ, is going to be giving that Pharah a lot of room to work with.
Yeah, massively crucial here. The Boat trying to set up with the Rocket Barrage. Going to be getting 2 off the back of it. Scribbles and Sheep both falling to the ground because of it. Dodge Fighter taking down Boat, but not before they themselves drop in the end fight. And now we're seeing the Doomfist come out by ZZ. A lot of character swaps coming through from this player. Graves taking out Scarm, but not before the res comes out. That is very valuable on the attacking team. They need to make these kills be a little bit more decisive, especially as this May Blizzard comes out and a big pin on the Lineton. Going to be wiping that Orisa off the field. The nano boost onto Boat helping to build up a rocket barrage a little bit faster, but it does not seem like it will be enough for them to get any progress onto this point.
Yeah, and it was looking super promising. You had ZZ down, you had the very good barrage coming through, you had the nano go out onto Boat, you had the Bongo even come in, you also had Sigma ult, so you used a lot of ults in that fight, and to not even get a single tick is very discouraging. But so this next couple of fights, they're probably just going to be looking for an ult build-up, and probably won't even have a really good team fight until another probably 2 fights to actually build up those ults and have a chance to use them to get in.
We are seeing a lot of swaps come through on the side of Aptyx, a lot of ult charge being given up on both sides. ZZ even switching to that Junkrat to provide a lot of barrier pressure. The Maywall coming out a little bit early, doesn't quite capture anybody. Alexio getting brought dangerously low. Have to might play a little bit carefully. And Boat coming in from the backline, trying to get some massive damage, not quite finding it. However, ZZ going to be finding that damage with Alexio dropping. And now it's looking a little bit more of a discombobulated fight as the tanks are kind of off in their own corner. The DPS and other tanks kind of all in all sorts of directions right now. ZZ, however, continuing to get those kills on that Junkrat, throwing down that damage and those concussion mines as that Reaper played by what will get cleaned up in the end. Another hold for Moonlight.
Yeah, and during that fight, you could see that the kills were kind of going back and forth, but that's not really what you want to see when you're on the offense. You don't want to see back and forth kills because the defenders are going to get there so much sooner because their spawn is pretty much right behind that point. So you're going to need to get those kills a lot faster, and as soon as it starts getting that 1-1, they're just going to be there back. And as soon as you know that 4v4 is going to turn into a 3v5 and then a 3v6, and then eventually you've lost a team fight.
Very true. Now we're going to have to be watching out. Honey having that Coalescence may choose to initiate with it if they don't get flanked by what on the Reaper. Decides to get out of there, but Honey does pop that Coalescence just to keep everybody up, as does Alexio in response. A lot of damage coming through, but nothing really quite finding any kills until the Junkrat tire coming onto the field. Going to be netting Boat. A little bit of Boat in net action there in that situation, but the damage amplification Bongo coming out from the defense now, as well as Doge Fighter going to be deciding to drop it, and it will help clean up as she gets the final double kill to secure the point for the defense.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're going in a fight like that, you have those ultimates that you're starting to build up a bit more, like I said, but on the defense there, they just had exactly what they needed to stop that push. That Rip Tire came out, was able to pick up a kill. ZZ was still able to kind of maneuver around, and Doge Fighter put down the Bongo at the end there. Maybe not 100% necessary, but they were able to put it down and make sure that team fight was definitely secured.
We're going to be seeing Boat get in very aggressive with the right clicks, but as soon as they land any damage, immediately goes in that Meteor Strike form. However, does get Maywalled off. It gets cut off. Honey going to be cleaning them up. The Maywall, or the May Blizzard going down onto point. Not going to be finding too much, but as the tanks try to rotate onto point for the attacking team, it's not going to work out for them as they get cleaned up once again.
I mean, right now the defense is just doing an amazing job stopping these pushes from coming through. They're just getting super grouped up, and ZZ's out to able to put through a bunch of damage despite there being the 2 shields. But now looking at the ultimates, I mean, the offense now has 5. So going into this next fight, this is definitely going to be the one that they have to win. If they don't win this next fight, maybe hopefully they don't use all their ultimates on it. Is going to be the lighter situation if they do end up losing it. But right now, this is their fight to win.
Certainly seems to be that way. As we look, it's going to be the side of Aptyx trying to take this interior ground, not trying to be as split up as they once were, and they seem to realize that they might have an ult advantage here. They're pushing up, they're going to initiate with those bongos, and a lot of ults being thrown into this. Both Sigmas throwing their grab flux in there. What going to be throwing the Death Blossom does not seem to find too much as they in fact get cleaned up by ZZ. Kills going all in favor of the defense right now, especially with that quick respawn advantage. It's just going to be the Lucio trying to get out of there. Skarm actually going to manage.
Yeah, if Skarm was able to get picked there, that would have been absolutely massive. It would have made it nearly impossible for them to actually even try to contest this point. But because he's able to get out, he's able to speed a little bit more of his teammates back here. But it looks like the person that's going to have to touch is Boat right now. Actually, Vanguard goes in first. Boat, I imagine now, is trying to look for a quick pick to try to sway this team fight over to their side.
Yeah, that needed to happen before Alexio dropped. However, ZZ getting dropped themselves is going to be a nice rebound. However, does not seem to be enough as the members of Aptyx try to flood on the point. Does not seem to be enough, especially with that Blizzard coming down, going to be locking Vanguard into place. The cleanup will come in short order as that Junkrat tire looking to just kill anybody who might be reaching for the point.
Yeah, and I mean, they did an amazing job, Moonlight, of being able to just hold that second point for so long. The first point, they I wouldn't say they gave up fast, but they did give it up in a little bit of time with left on the clock for Aptyx. So going into that second, you know, you were afraid a little bit of a roll coming in. You know, you got to be really careful of that because teams are going to be able to get that first point and they start getting they start getting a bit bigger, a little bit buffer because they have those ultimates and are a little more charged up than the defense after a fight like that. But Moonlight with just an amazing hold there. They just had a great defense. There's not much more you can say about that. I mean, when you have a good defense, you have a good defense, and that's exactly what they had on that second point.
Yeah, and to speak kind of to the testament of that second point defense, they did it with basically a first push cap off of first. So, I mean, it kind of helps that the attacking team didn't really have a whole lot of ults to roll in with, so there wasn't that massive snowball potential. But still, I mean, that was a very long defense, multiple pushes to have to go through, and they looked strong on every single one.
Yeah, and now with them being on the defense, Aptyx here, they're going to be pulling out the Pharah on the defense, which Bud, I think, was playing an amazing Pharah, especially at the start of this map. And I could see it being really good here on the defense. ZZ's probably going to have to switch off of this Doomfist pretty soon and go over to that McCree or Widow or just something to get that Pharah out of this guy, some type of hit scan. So I think that's probably going to be the win condition here on this defense is how much value this Pharah is going to get versus if someone's going to be able to take them out of the sky or not.
Overall, a very explosive composition coming out from Aptyx as well, with the Junkrat as well as the Pharah. Vanguard throwing a couple of explosive marbles on their own as well. But we're going to see the action get moving forward here as Moonlight going to be pushing through the choke. It looks like they're kind of scouting out the comp coming through from Aptyx. They don't want to get too far ahead of themselves. It might be wise here, especially with all those explosive characters. You don't want to take that unnecessary damage. But Boat already finding some decent hits. Quite charged up already. Just a few rockets landed them at 32% ultimate charge. And it looks like Moonlight's going to be wrapping around trying to take this high ground. Not necessarily the worst option when you have an Orisa and a Sigma, but they just have to be very careful that that at least one of them doesn't get knocked off by Boat, but they're going to hop immediately onto point. They're not going to hold that high ground for long. And it looks like Aptyx going to be savvy to that, trying to hop onto point, but what gets kind of lost in the kerfuffle there, going to be dropped down. However, the res does come through from Skarm, and now the kill's still going in favor of the attackers. Moonlight just going to be cleaning up, and it wasn't as explosive of a first battle, but it looks like it's all going to go in favor of Moonlight.
Yeah, at the start of the fight, actually, Alexio was all the way up top at the back, right above the point, to that high ground that Moonlight was actually rotating towards. And because they were able to rotate all the way towards that high ground, that Pharah really couldn't get any damage going through, with the shields also going in. So what they had to do was try to back off and hope that they could take the fight when they were able to drop down to point. Unfortunately, they weren't able to. But now going into this fight, with the Rip Tire, I think, is probably going to be what they're looking for to stop this push.
especially with a very decent anti-nade coming through from Alexio. The Riptire going to be rolling onto the field. They see them on the interior, trying to find something, not going to find anything, however. And now we're seeing the a bit of aggression coming through from Moonlight as they realize they don't have to worry about that massive damage burst. The May Wall coming through just to provide a little bit of a barrier, however, it will not save you from the threat in the sky. Boat taking down Doge Fighter. Not a main tank in sight for the attacking team, nor for the defending team rather either, as we look forward, but the defending team going to be having that respawn advantage. And they're actually even committing the sound barrier to this. It might be a little bit questionable, but they really want to take it. Grape's doing their best to absolutely clean up here. And right now, the kills are coming through as slow as they might be from Aptyx, but the Blizzard coming in, buying a little bit of space, buying a little bit of lockdown. Skarm trying to use that Valkyrie to buy just a little bit more health and healing onto the point. And this has been one very long fight that has not looked too decisive either way. And Bo getting the uppercut on the Doge Fighter might help as the main tank drops once again. Bo going to be cleaning up. That's exactly what you need your Doomfist to do.
Yeah, and Alexio on this defense is just hitting every single nade they get, just making it either an anti or possibly even getting a kill with it, as we saw early in that fight, and just slowly dwindling that. And you could see there what was happening was that 1-1 again, you know, trade, and then it looks like Moonlight was starting to pick up more kills. But of course, the defenders spawn point right behind, so they were just able to make it back to the point faster. And right now, actually, I want to point out something. Scribbles has been hitting like a bunch of rocks. Like, they've been getting kills with the rocks. They've been stunning people that have been jumping in with rocks. So they've been doing a really good job, actually, with the accretion.
Yeah, very much so. We're going to have to be seeing some more of those setups with the Orisa. The Doomfist getting the nano boost, not going to be landing their right clicks. That's not an ability you want to miss when you have the damage amplification on you. However, we'll be cleaning up Scribbles. There will be one less tank on the field for the defensive team, as well two less characters in general. Boat going on a continued tear, just cleaning up, taking down Honey, taking down Sheep. That's exactly what you need here, and it's a continued hold.
Yeah, and now going into the next fight, you still have plenty of time to work with to only get a tick here. And Scribble's coming close to the Flux, Honey close to Coalescence here, so you gotta think, okay, do we just do one more push and maybe we just try to build up some ultimates, and maybe the goal isn't really to win the fight, but rather to just get as much charge onto ourselves as possible here. Or maybe what they want to try to do is go in and completely take over the fight with this Flux and Coalescence once they're able to build that up.
Absolutely, an interesting change coming through here. Skarm hopping onto the Baptiste, might be trying to use the Immort field to get a little bit more value than their other healing may have provided the opportunity for. And the grab flex going to be coming through from Scribbles, giving the high ground, getting the double kill with the Deadeye. You hate to see it happen, but it happens sometimes. What, taking advantage of that highest high ground and cleaning up.
Yeah, I've been guilty of that before, being a Sigma player myself. I've accidentally thrown up that McCree and they've used High Noon and gotten a picks. And when you're playing around 4K, people are just calling you an absolute flat brain boosted player. But that happens, you know. I mean, what am I supposed to do about it? You know, tell them to not use this all when I use my Flux on them. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Some things you can only stop so much. The shielding coming out, preventing the accretion, hitting from Vanguard. Some good shield maintenance so far, and an early kill on to Skarm from Scribbles might be the opening that this offensive team needs. They're going to be getting a little bit aggressive with it, and the sound barrier coming out. Grape's getting a continued kill on the Boat, but a fat anti-nade might not matter too much as they do have a little bit of the buffer with the sound barrier. And the Bongo coming out, not going to be lasting too long, and the kills now continuing to come through from the defensive side. This defense does not seem to be hampered despite those early kills. The Reaper kind of creeping around in the backline for the attacker. ZZ trying to find some value. It's going to be hard for that Reaper to play so far away from his healers as he gets burned down. We saw Honey trying to give the heals, not going to be finding it, however. Will be walking away from this with a Coalescence, but the defense continues to hold.
Yeah, and Grapes actually, in that fight, went into the back to get Alexio, but they ended up getting slept. Alexio, though, was super low health, so as soon as Grapes got up, they were just able to boop him to get that kill. But, I mean, the damage is already done. They didn't have their Lucio. They had no speed boost, no sort of amp whatsoever to engage, disengage, and now they're going to just be swapping over to the Baptiste because, well, I mean, we're not going to have a beat by the time we go into this next fight. Might as well just try to use the Immortality in its place, which is kind of what Skarm did earlier when that Flux came out.
Yeah, and once again, we're going to be seeing the wraparound from Moonlight trying to go onto this interior route. It hasn't quite worked for them yet, but they don't have to worry about the gravitic flux coming through. Neither side going to be having that ult online. Boat does, however, have the rocket, or the meteor strike, going to be activating it right at the beginning of the fight. The halt coming in, trying to get everybody cloistered together, and another big anti-nade coming through from Alexio, hitting 3. Not going to quite be netting any supreme value, but Boat and Scarm both falling down to Doge Fighter. That's not great. It looks like things might be a little bit grim for the defense here, as what tries to activate that high noon. He's going to get burned down by ZZ. Switching onto that Hanzo seems to be the absolutely lethal pick here. Scribbles and Doge Fighter continuing to get the kills. It's just going to be Alexio trying to maintain an off angle. Not going to quite be working for it. As Boat drops, that's going to be the point going over to Moonlight.
Yeah, and it was getting really risky there, but ZZ switching over to that Hanzo was actually turned out to be a really good idea. Hanzo is someone who we're slowly seeing more and more in this tournament, I feel like. And they're usually able to show up when they switch over to the Hanzo, whether that's just getting a pick or two, or maybe even opening up a whole fight because of it.
Yeah, hilariously enough, the play of the game is going to be what getting the high ground from Scribbles, grab Flux. So a little bit of celebration time there for the Cowboy, I am sure. But with that being said, was not quite enough to get them to hold the point in its entirety. And man, that was an intense game, Zach. I think that's a good precedent that we've just set here.
Yeah, you can already tell that this is going to be a really close match with both of these teams. Both of them had a really good offense, but when it came to defense, they both also had a really good defense, which is kind of strange. On the first point, neither team was able to quite hold it, but on that second point, they were doing absolute work holding that. So I think we're going to have a really close game here, and when it comes to map selection coming up next year, I don't really know what I would see. I imagine they'll just go with King of the Hill just to kind of get themselves a precedent, because, you know, that's kind of the, I'd say, rawest Overwatch form, where it's just two teams attacking each other and to see who gets more space, really, and takes that point.
Yeah, it absolutely seems to sometimes just be a deathmatch mode. It is certainly the closest thing we have to it. If I want to make a guess, I'm going to guess Lijiang, because it seems like it never fails. We go to Lijiang within the first 3 maps. You know, if we go to 5, sometimes it's, you know, it's almost certainly going to be thrown in there. Nepal did just get banned by Moonlight, so maybe they're not necessarily favoring that control point map type.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, you're banning King of the Hill map is actually not something I usually see. Normally we'll see like a 2CP ban, but since we just played it, I imagine they want to save that, which is a good idea, good call. Maybe they don't feel comfortable on Nepal in some way, shape, or form. I doubt that's because they don't feel comfortable on King of the Hill maps. So I still imagine that Aptyx is going to be picking some type of King of the Hill map. Like you said, Lijiang, really good one. I think Busan is also in the rotation here, so if they want to pick that. I love Busan. Busan's one of my favorite maps, but they are going to go with Lijiang. Good call.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in this game, in the casting game, for long enough to know that's just what teams like to play in this, you know, current map rotation we have. And, you know, I think we saw a little bit of Pharah coming out. I believe it was Boat who was playing it, and that tells me if we go to Gardens, that might be something that's on the table for us.
Yeah, definitely. I think Gardens is like, you have to play. Well, I wouldn't say you have to play Pharah on the map, but if someone's going to be running a Pharah, it's definitely going to be on that map. Mm-hmm. Whether we see that map or not, who knows? We may not even go to that map, depending if someone takes 2-0 and we just get Night Market and Control Center. But I think that the best form that we're going to get here when we're going to see these two teams head-to-head is probably going to be on Night Market. I love watching how teams kind of take Night Market in a different path. Some of them decide to do the Sim TP all the way up to the top. Some of them just stay with the standard Doom, Reaper, Double Shield, blah, blah, blah. But I think that map, you can kind of see a little bit of flexing there. And I think that's where I really like to see these teams play. That's just one of my favorite maps to watch them play on. It's one of my favorites. I don't know why I keep saying that. I was trying to think of a different word, but I couldn't find it. So I'm just going to say what I already said again.
It provides you the optimal happiness per given map. But as we move forward, we're going to be going on to that command center. And, you know, command center is one of those where we used to see a lot of Orion Zarya, and, you know, things have just happened. Things have just shaken out where you don't see that much anymore. But every time we go to command center, I'm always a little bit hopeful that we'll be seeing it.
Yeah, I don't imagine we'll see the Orion Zarya here. I just don't think it's super optimal right now. I think that the latest patch actually that just came through did a little bit of nerfing to Zarya's beam, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But one thing I'm expecting to see here is definitely going to be the double shield. And Scribbles right now actually on the Rhine. Whether they choose to stick with that or not, who knows. May's usually really good on this point too. You usually see a lot of teams run May. Right now, none of them have that picked. But if someone were to switch to the last second, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I don't think we talked about this a whole lot. ZZ on those projectile heroes, playing the more conventional projectile heroes, the Junkrat, the Hanzo, and it looks like we are going to be seeing Scribbles and Doge Fighter roll out with the Rhine Orisa. Very interesting here. I think they might have to be a little bit careful of what, but they're going to get started rather quickly as Scribbles decides to just head right to point with that Rhine charge, and now it's kind of the Aptyx Esports side who have to get a little bit offensive with it here, but what taking down ZZ and Sheep early on is going to be a great advantage. What continuing to be in the back line of the tanks, or in the flank of the tanks rather. Both going to be bypassing the tanks altogether to get a big punch onto Honey, and just like that, Aptyx going to be taking first possession.
Yeah, I think ZZ and Sheep actually went around from the back near that Mega to try to maybe get a pick on somebody really quick, but ZZ went down super fast because everyone just noticed that, oh, hey, he's all over here by himself. Well, let's just focus him really quick. They were able to take him down. And when you lose your Doomfist and the other enemy Doomfist is not out, it's pretty much going to be a lost fight there. So you got to be really careful when it comes down to it. And they just were able to get that pick and take the point.
Yeah, certainly going to be the case. And a big Fire Strike Halt combination coming through. Scribbles almost going to be having that Earth Shatter, but the Coalescence is coming through from both sides. ZZ going to be getting the early kill advantage. The Earth Shatter coming down doesn't seem to be netting too much here. As Scribbles gets taken down, the kills seem to all be coming in left and right. Not too decisive quite yet, but this only favors Aptyx as they continue to build up this ult charge. And we're seeing what try to play this Reaper around those tanks, but having a hard time finding them, getting them locked down. Going to be parking right into the back of Doge Fighter. That might be crucial. Doge Fighter not going to be dropping, however, as the Gravitic Flux coming through from the side of Vanguard will be finally getting the kill onto Doge Fighter, following up with the Meteor Strike. May not have been necessary, but they're going to use it to secure those kills either way. What taking down Sheep looks like the calling card for this fight to be over on the side of Moonlight.
And looking at the team cover right now, Scribbles is going to decide to go back over to the Sigma and get off that Rhine. And I think a big reason for that is, I wouldn't say the Rhine's a bad pick, but it's very hard to control the enemy's Doomfist when they come in close if you don't have any sort of stun form. And right now, the only form of stun they have is that rock.
Very much agree, and now we're going to be seeing the Coalescence once again being used to initiate this fight. Honey choosing to hold theirs off for just a little bit longer. What going to be popping that Death Blossom, but getting punched in the face by ZZ as it goes. The Meteor Strike in the air does not seem to be landing too much from the side of ZZ. And once again, Aptyx just having a very long fight that continues to go in their favor as they build up this ult charge. Once again, the Death Blossom coming out, not going to be finding any purchase for this Reaper either. As Sheep then goes on to get some kills, following up with just these standard shotguns. It will be Scribbles last on point to really try to maintain possession or any semblance of an overtime push. Just enough time for the side of Doge Fighter to get in and on. And with that being said, Doge Fighter gets cleaned up. Grapes coming through now trying to get the stall. It looks like this might be the final death knell for the side of Moonlight on the command center. And with that being said, overtime's going to burn down, and it's going to go in favor of Aptyx.
Yeah, I mean, Aptyx, really good. They were able to not only take the point at the start, but hold it throughout the whole round. I want to go in a little bit more as to why you might want to play the Rhine instead of the Sigma here. And I think that's mainly because the Rhine, all of his damage isn't affected by shields. So he kind of has that same idea as Doomfist, where he's able to put damage through the shields, whether it's with him just swinging his hammer or his Fire Strike going through or his pin. You know, he just kind of has a similar damage sort of non-mitigation because of that, and that's kind of the idea behind running it. But of course, you know, with the enemy Doomfist, it's going to be really hard.
Yeah, it certainly will be. And moving forward, we're going to be seeing a little bit more of the same. However, Aptyx going to be choosing to swap it up a little bit. That May Sim coming through. We're going to be seeing where What decides to put that teleporter right onto point, going up top, setting up those sentries, and Vanguard getting the early kill onto ZZ is crucial. And now these walls not going to be too sturdy up against that Sim beam. And even just one turret being so threatening to the opposing team, they do not want to take that speed loss from those turret beams. And Langdon continuing to get the kills. Doge Fighter going to be the next one dropping, and they're going to be getting pretty aggressive on here. What pushing up all the way to the first choke as Aptyx going to be taking points.
Yeah, Aptyx really happy with how that fight turned out. They were able to teleport to the point, get there super fast, hurry up, set up those turrets, and now since they had to back off because not only did they lose Easy, but they lose Doge Fighter, they then just pushed up super hard onto them and they were able to pick up like 3 more after that. So right now, ult charge is looking really good for the side of Aptyx. And actually, Sheep now on the Pharah here, it's definitely probably going to be a good pick here because there's not much really to deal with that Pharah unless they were to get into the point, and then maybe it's a little bit easier for them to kind of take her out.
Right, and we're going to be seeing an initiation from Honey with that Coalescence, followed up by the Alexio initiation with that Coalescence. Coalescence seems to be the flavor of the day when you're starting a fight, but not a lot of kills coming through from either side. Once again, Aptyx going to be a little bit okay with that. What being the first to fall, Sheep going to be knocking them down with those rockets, and the kills a little bit trading back and forth right now. The halts coming through, trying to get that synergy from Doge Fighter and Scribbles. Not going to quite land, though, as the Sim Walls coming in and the May Blizzard. That's going to be locking it down the tanks from the side of Moonlight, and that might be a little bit crucial. They do not want to lose this fight, but it appears that's exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah, that Sim Wall was really well timed because at that time, Linathan or Nathan, what was it? Yeah, Nathan. Nathan. Look, the letters are very close. I'm dyslexic. It's hard to read, okay? Anyway, but he was actually down his shield right now. He's using his Fortify, and he was getting lower and lower. And that Sim Wall coming up just gave him that much more protection and gave everybody protection because that's just able to split through the whole map.
Yeah, very much. And now we're going to be seeing another attack style push coming through from Moonlight, trying to get some angles. However, the Bog are going to be coming out from Linathan. And we hear the Sigma coming out with that Gravitic Flux. Gonna be trying to net something, doesn't seem to get too much with it, but the Rocket Barrage trying to come through. Sheep ends up killing themselves, it seems, and Aptyx continues to hold. Not even gonna be an overtime timer for them. They're gonna get it in 2.
That was super dominant by Aptyx right there. I mean, as soon as they got that point, they weren't losing it, and that's kind of where that defense showed up, where on that second point of Anubis, as soon as they like had that point structured, they were able to keep it and hold it, and that's kind of what we saw here a little bit. And I think what happened, I don't know what happened with Sheep actually. Maybe it was the Sigma shield went out at just the perfect time. Sheep was already low, so they just immediately died when they used that barrage, I guess. Not 100% sure what happened there, but now series, I mean, it's getting closer.
Yeah, we are 1-1. These teams are chomping at the bit to take the lead, and it doesn't seem like either is going to pull ahead in a dominant fashion quite yet. But of course, poor Zach, you know what we got to do next. We got to talk about the map pick and ban phase. What do you think?
I mean, after winning that 2 CP, you got to be thinking, do we want to go back over to that? What they're going to want to ban on the side of Aptyx. I mean, both teams looked really good on Anubis, and obviously Aptyx looked absolutely dominant on Li Jiang. Yeah. So I imagine they're probably going to ban some. I actually don't know what map they're going to do. They're probably just going to ban some random map. If you are able to guess it, then I mean, go ahead. Go.
Eichenwald.
Go for 2.
Call the Eichenwald ban.
You're gonna ban Eichenwald? I can't. No.
I've been seeing it a lot. I've been seeing a lot. We'll find out as it goes through the tournament. I'm willing to say it's more likely to be banned than picked. But okay. with that, looking at what we have available, I can't say I really see Hanamura being an option. Kings Row. I think Kings Row might be the next map we see. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people have been picking Kings Row. Kings Row is probably the safe bet to go with here if you're not quite sure what you want to do. And I mean, looking at it, it looks like the first ban is going to be on a Hanamura. And then I think you're absolutely right, probably with that Kings Row call. But we're just gonna have to wait and see for that. Of course, Kings Row with the double shields is actually really good at holding it on the defense there with the Doomfist, because it just kind of feels like there's a lot of walls to hold around. And if you want to run a sim on offense with a Bastion, that could also be something a little bit cheesy. You're able to teleport yourself all the way over to the high ground if you go into the hotel or the whatever it is to the right. No, hotels, whatever that is to the right when you go out of the spawn doors. I forget what that one is. But you go over to that, you get to that high ground, you teleport all the way over above the point, and you're just able to rain in damage, and there's almost nothing they can do about it unless they have a similar team comp.
Yeah, it's going. We talk about it a lot, how it's very difficult to maintain that first point with a Sigma Orisa, but the rest, with all the walls and those tight spaces that you were mentioning before, very manageable with something like a Doomfist or Reaper, which, you know, fits right perfectly into that composition. And, you know, you can talk about, oh, well, why not run something that's, you know, better for first point than just swap, but there's a lot of momentum that can kind of carry through Streets phase, so you don't necessarily want to give that up just to have a little bit more just to have a better opportunity of holding A, which is already a feat.
Yeah, definitely. Now with them going into King's Row, it looks like Aptyx is going to start off on the defense here. I don't know. I don't know what Aptyx is going to pull out here. I think that maybe on the side of Aptyx, you might see Boat run a Pharah on offense. They've been doing a fairly good job at it, but we also saw Sheep decide to run the Pharah at the second point of Li Jiang there. So I don't think we could see a Pharah on the defense, but we might see one on the offense here.
Yeah, I think Pharah can play pretty comfortably around that hotel area. They're able to cut those angles, especially since it seems like Orisa Sigma teams or compositions rather are rather so willing to give up a lot of space and just hold a tight corner. That really kind of allows the Pharah to get a nice cut going through the hotel. And I mean, you know, if you're able to get that damage when everybody's so clustered together behind the shields, you can build up quite a bit of ult charge if you're able to get even just, you know, a handful of rockets in.
Yes, like even when you use that Orisa ult to kind of make them even cluster up a bit more, and then maybe your Sigma shoots at it with his accretion, or maybe just uses primary fire. You know, that could be a lot of damage for him to help build his ultimate up faster. It's one that does take a little bit more time, I feel like, to build up depending on how you're playing him. But also when you pull, you can also kind of try to go ahead and assist your Doomfist maybe in a punch, because, you know, they can just go ahead, punch through. Maybe they don't get a kill, they got to hurry it back out, uppercut, and they just go over with the seismic slam, just get out of the way.
Yeah, we do have a few seconds before we see what the teams are exactly going to be lining up to be. A lot of speculation coming through here, but folks, I want to hear your voices. Let us know if you think anybody's been popping off over the last two maps. It's going in a lot of different directions. There's a lot of good players coming through onto the field right now. I think a lot of people deserve that MVP vote, so let us know who you think deserves it the most, letting us know in the Twitch chat below. But poor Zach, we have 5 seconds and I'm ready to see these team comps.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited to see what they're going to pull out here. It looks like Sheep is just starting off on that Pharah here. ZZ on the Widow. Of course, that's for the offense. It's bound to change at any point in time, but we're going to look over to the defense. We see that way more traditional as of right now. Double Shield, Doom, Reaper, Moira, Lucio. Pretty much the bread and butter of the Overwatch meta right now. If you're not sure what to run, you're going to want to run that.
Yeah, unless you have some specialized strategies coming out of the gate here. It seems like this is kind of one of the most reliable compositions to kind of move forward, especially against that Sigma Orisa of the opponent's own. Reaper able to just kind of wraith through the shields, and Doomfist doesn't really care when he's punching you through everything. But as we get started, it looks like ZZ might be hopping onto the Hanzo just for a little bit of scouting. No, they're actually going to be rolling out with it. This Hanzo, not something we see too typically here. Using the sonar arrow to try to find a little bit of scouting, not going to be locating anything, as the entirety of Aptyx going to be taking residence in that hotel. And right now the fight's taking place over the choke. Very aggressive defense coming through, and it looks like it will buy a little bit of time as Moonlight kind of recollect themselves. The sonar arrow coming through from Hanzo, once again going to be scouting out everybody in the hotel. A lot of damage coming through from Sheep so far, but not quite enough to land any kills. Sheep 75% to that rocket barrage. Doge getting brought dangerously low, will be healed back up in short order, but already some presence onto the point by the side of Moonlight. Aptyx has to be very careful they don't give up too much space, otherwise they're going to start giving up ticks for free, as they are right about to do right now. But they get an early kill on the Doge fighter into the fight, so with that it's going to be a little bit of lost ground for Moonlight. They do not have as much capability to hold, and Reaper creeping into the backlines, trying to get into the face of those tank players playing around that statue. Some very smart play coming through from What, just trying to buy that space, and right now it is looking kind of apathetic on these pushes, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, the pushes feel like they're kind of slow. Like I feel like they could be a lot more aggressive in a sense, because they have this Pharah to kind of rain in that damage from above and not really have much happen to her. But I guess when you are looking down at the point, they aren't going to have anything to deal with the Pharah, so their attention mostly won't be on that. So on the ground battle, you could be melted down very fast. So I think that's mostly what they're worried about.
Yeah, the Coalescence once again initiating. Vanguard throwing the shield into Sheep's face as Sheep turns around, hitting him with the Sigma primary fire. Boat continuing to get the clean up, making sure that Mercy cannot get the res. And right now it's looking a little bit scattered, and Moonlight not looking too great right now. As they get cleaned up, this might be their first regroup of the game.
Yeah, and now, I mean, looking at it when you're Sheep, do you want to keep running this Pharah here? Yeah, you're putting in a lot of damage, but you just used the barrage. You didn't see much with it. You really haven't been getting any kills with the Pharah, but you haven't been putting in that damage. But since there's no follow-up, maybe you want to switch over to, I don't know, a Doomfist that can kind of get that one-shot combo in. But it looks like ZZ switching over to the Bastion, so maybe Sheep switches over to the Sim,
Ooh.
which is what's going to happen here. So they're going to try for that teleport over to the high ground to kind of stop them from doing anything. But with so many ults on the side right now of Aptyx, it's going to be pretty hard.
Yeah, certainly seems to be the case. Scribble's going to be having that grab flux as well. Probably not going to be too anxious to use it right out of the gate. And a lot of high ground being taken. And boat hopping right onto that Bastion, right onto the Meteor Strike. The grab flux going to be taken down too. All the ults being used, well, not all the ults, but a lot of ults being used from Aptyx. And it's going to net them the team fight.
Yeah, and I want to point out really quick, Skarm was actually up at that high ground. They saw this changes that they were making, and so Skarm, hurry up, got up there, and as soon as that teleporter came out, he was able to boot 3 people off. So now everybody's split up. They have to drop off the high ground, which is what they really wanted to begin with. And as soon as they got to that low ground, that Doomfist, Reaper, and then the Flux was able to come through, it's just everything was perfect because of that boop that was able to make them kind of a little more discombobulated and make it hard for them to keep going through with this fight.
The Bastion going to be setting up, tearing down all those shields as much as possible, but the defending team going to be retreating into the clock tower, one of the more successful defenses with the Sigma Ori combo that we've been seeing lately, and now the teleporter coming out, but it will get destroyed before the entirety of the team can get ferried. Sheep going to be taking down Vanguard, however, that is an opening pick for the attacking team, and they need to make something happen, especially with this Battle Bongo going down onto the field. Sheep getting a little bit too carried away as they get cleaned up by the Orisa player on that main tank role, and it's again, they're just playing these corners on the defense. They're trying their darnest not to give up too much progress, but they're just kind of huddled in the belt or the clock tower, and what trying to use the Death Blossom to their advantage not going to be working, and the defense, or the offense rather, having a lot of respawn advantage in comparison to their defending counterparts. And the grab flux coming in might be netting the kill on the line of it if the Sim turret doesn't do it itself. And the kills now seeming to come through for the attacking team. It took a while, but they were managed to make some progress.
Yeah, slowly but surely. They're playing the long game, and that's kind of what you really want to play when you're doing this Bastion Sim double shield combo. We saw Grapes actually throw the Immortality down over to ZZ, and I think it was also Sheep, who were actually about to get Death Blossom by What. But thankfully, they were ready in time with that Immortality, threw it over there, and just completely stopped that from doing any sort of damage. Who knows what could have happened if that was able to get off and get a pick or two.
Yeah, may have been the game changer. We can see now Sheep trying to just do a little bit of poke damage at the front ahead of the cart. We'll have that wall up, that Proton wall up for some defense.
Yeah, now going into this fight, I mean, probably going to use the Coalescence here for Alexio. Grapes close to another Matrix, so I could see that coming out here pretty soon here.
Yeah, ZZ going to be setting up right onto the cart. However, Sheep going to be taken down despite that wall. Wall doesn't really care when you have a giant fist raining down on your head. A Vanguard going to be dropping in kind. However, the kills seem to now be going in favor of the attackers. Not quite able to deal with ZZ as they just pour in that damage. 3 shields to have to deal with if you're on the defending team. Not the most friendly situation.
Yeah, now moving forward here. Looking at the ultimates on the side of Aptyx, you're going to have the Bongo coming up, but that's really about it. Meanwhile, you're going to have Coalescence, you almost have a Bongo, and you're going to have the Bastion ult on the side of Moonlight. So it's going to be really, really hard for them to stop this being a second point capture.
Yeah, they're going to have to, it looks like they're setting up for a defense. They're all trying to hug that left side so they don't take as much damage as possible. Going to be setting up the Bongo in that left side as well so it doesn't get taken out early. And ZZ, as we can hear the Bastion whistle coming out, the tank form going to be hopping in. Grapes getting knocked out, meaning no Immort Field's going to be up quite yet, and this is the spot that the defense needs to hold if they do not want to give up this second point. However, it looks like the kills are starting to go in favor of them as Scribble's trying to rotate around some of the map geometry, not quite able to find anything. It will be the tank's last to fall. However, this means that the defense is going to have a nice position.
Yeah, I mean, I was not expecting them to win that fight there. That was very impressive. Boat was able to get a pick to start off the fight there, and then he was actually in the back line over on the Bastion, putting out massive damage through him, even though they were getting healed by the Moira. So, I mean, all in all, coming into this next fight, it's a lot more 50-50 now. Doge Fighter has the Bongo, Scribbles with the Flux, but Alexio does have that Coalescence, which could be a big thing. Coalescence is such a big ultimate right now in this meta, and it could just put through a lot of damage, a lot of heals.
Yeah, defending team has to be aware of Sheep as ZZ almost ran right into them. or excuse me, as Boat almost ran right into them. The Gravitic Flux going to be coming through from Scribbles. Let's see if it's going to net anything. Not quite the kills, however, it might set up for something. Scribbles going to be cleaning up their own with Boat dropping. The sound barrier coming out, keeping everybody still standing on the side of Aptyx. A little bit healthier than you might expect. And what going to be dropping that Death Blossom, cleaning up Sheep. That is a lot of CC gone and done for. However, the attacking team cannot get off the point. Otherwise, the overtime timer will burn down. It's going to be Honey just trying to keep their team alive. However, they will be dropping. And because of that, the rest of the team will be short to follow in kind. And with that, it's a 2nd-point hold.
Yeah, and what happened on the defense there was that when that Flux came through, Skarm didn't quite have his beat up yet. So as soon as they hit down, they lost that 50% health. But as soon as that Flux was over, give it a second or two, they were able to build up their beat right then and there. They just got it back online. And with the fight now being a 1-to-1, 1-to-1 trade, the Lucio getting his beat there was absolutely crucial. And actually, I think was a big part of them winning that team fight.
Yeah, very much so. And man, it seems like no team wants to be kind of put in an absolute underdog spot here, because it looks like a lot of these fights kind of going neck and neck. ZZ was looking really good on that Bastion for a little bit. You know, they were riding the cart. They had a really good run with it, but then it's just like something clicked for the side of excuse me, for the side of that Aptyx team, and they just kind of locked it down and were able to deal with the Bastion in the proper methods and just did not let themselves get run over in a continued fashion throughout streets.
Yeah, and I think part of that's because they knew that they could use the map actually to help them with that. They had someone on cart to just put in a little bit of that defense to stall it out. Meanwhile, you had the shields up in front of you, and they had a wall to their left, so they were just able to peek out if they really needed to go back. That's exactly what they did. They just went behind that wall, and I think that's something that a lot of players actually forget about, is that the map, while it is kind of there for you to play on, it could also be there for you to play with, you know?
Absolutely. It looks like Moonlight going to be trying to set up for the defensive surprise within Hotel. There will be no scouting coming out from the side of Aptyx, but they do have that sim. Might be seeing some tricky sim teleports as they take the ride through, I guess this is bigger Hotel, and they're going to be taking the teleporter, and the Bastion getting set up off the teleporter. The May going to be giving them a little bit of a boost to high ground, but also the priority focus fire opportunities here. And the Baptiste Immort field coming out before any value can really be achieved with that Bastion. You don't want to use that cooldown too soon. However, the Lucio Poop coming through going to be knocking down a lot of the side of Aptyx. And what getting taken down is not the drop you want to be seeing, but Skarm going to be rectifying that mistake as they bring them back up. And the wall coming in from Sheep going to be sectioning off Leanathan, excuse me, meaning that no reinforcements for that Orisa. However, they will manage to survive for the time being. Kills looking very back and forth right now. What getting taken down because of an accretion rock from Scribbles with the cleanup. The Doomfist coming in to clean up Leanathan as well. Skarm lucky to get out of there with their life. And it looks like the battle's still not over. The Sigma coming in just to try to buy a little bit of space for their mercy, but will get punished for it.
Yeah, and at the start of that fight, as soon as they teleport over to that high ground, Sheep used that wall to get that Bastion up there and put massive amount of damage on him. And then as soon as they had to back up a little bit and just kind of start to get themselves back together, Grapes was able to just hurry up, wall run all the way over there, boop a couple people off, and just like before with their offense, they had to all get down and regroup.
And once again, we're seeing the teleporter come through once again. This time, the amplification matrix going to be there. Bastion trying to pour that damage in, just not able to find everybody as everybody takes to those corners, ducking out of the line of sight. It will just be the Sigmas on point, one contesting, one attacking. Not really any progress being made, but the Orisa now going to come to help for the defending side to get that little tankiness onto the point. The Immort field coming out behind the Orisa barrier. We can hear the Symmetra turrets trying to come out, not going to be quite finding too much, but a nice blizzard right on to the Immortality field. And what trying to get some value with that Bastion tank configuration, not going to be doing it as what gets frozen and cleaned up in the back end of the fight.
Yeah, so far so good on the side of Moonlight here on the defense. ZZ was able to actually get that in with that Meteor Strike. Everyone was just all grouped up on that high ground. He forced What to actually get off of the high ground. He was up there by himself for a little bit. But with how much damage he was putting through, and then the Meteor Strike went down, he had to drop, and he was just able to use that Meteor Strike to put a bunch of damage onto the Orisa, kill the Symmetra, put some damage onto the Bastion, and just make that fight an absolute win for his team.
as the fight gets initiated here with the damage amplification. Lionathan going to be taking a rock, however, having the Sigma and Ori barrier not going to be bothering them too much. And a lot of ults coming out, both of the grab fluxes coming in. Not going to be netting any kills directly, however, ZZ quick to follow up on the cleanup with those abilities. Moonlight continuing to look a little bit stronger in this situation, but the fight is certainly not over. If the kills don't continue to come through as they did with Doge Fighter, it might not continue to be a great defending phase, but it looks like they're going to stabilize. And with just what trying to get back to point, kind of stuck in the mix here, going to be using that Wraith form to get out, getting that healing, and going to be getting the regroup as well.
Yeah, this next fight, now with all these ultimates relatively gone here, is going to be really tough to not only take the point, but also possibly to hold it here. You're about to have another meteor strike out for ZZ. Sheep, though, close to that Blizzard. That Blizzard could be very big in this fight. Alexio with the Coalescence here to maybe try to counter that Blizzard a little bit for whoever gets caught in it.
Yeah, what trying to play through that hotel, trying to get into the back line of the defending team, however, not quite able to find it. ZZ taking down Vanguard might be a very good opening for the defense here. Sheep going to be taking down Lionathan with the pure Blizzard damage itself. What trying to pop that Death Blossom as a little bit of a desperation move, but it's going to absolutely work as it gets 2 kills. The Doomfist going to have to back up just a little bit. ZZ does not want to be stuck in that 1v3 type situation. Vanguard on the Wrecking Ball, though, is going to help to get to point just a little bit faster, and we're even seeing a Reinhardt on the field.
Yeah, barely capping that point in a fast fashion. Like, now with the overtime coming through, they have about 2:30 to cap it, almost to the second point there. And I think that right now, Moonlight feels really good about holding this and not letting them actually get to that second point. But, of course, I'm sure they also felt good about their defense, having that Blizzard Meteor Strike coming up there. And they were just able to turn around on the side of Aptyx. So I'm not quite sure how this one's going to turn out here, especially with the Bastion coming up to start us off.
Sheep setting up that wall to try to get that Bastion separated and put on the high ground. Not going to be quite working, but Lionathan will take the brunt of that hit instead. And the Meteor Strike going to be coming in from Boat with the response of the sound barrier from Grapes. Scarm seeming to think that's a good idea as well, going to be answering with their own sound barrier. And the wall once again coming in just to restrict the lines of sight from What, who continues to pound those bullets through this choke, but they're not able to quite take those angles that are necessary. And it's going to be more contests coming through from the defense. Moonlight continuing to look good, getting those onesie-twosie kills. That is until Sheep falls. As Sheep falls, this might be the opening. No May to kind of cool things down here. What taking down ZZ means there's no DPS threat at all from the side of Moonlight. And the amplification matrix coming through on the Bastion, going to be just able to pound in so much damage, but the Bastion still has not been enough. The Grab Flux coming in, but the Immort Field to answer. The Immort Field doing its job, making sure nobody dies in that Grab Flux. However, it seems like it cannot be enough to save the defense it cannot seem to save the defense enough, as the offense now going to be pushing forward.
Yeah, but now we're less than a minute remaining, so whoever wins this next fight is going to be winning the map here. ZZ has that Meteor Strike, and Sheep again close to that Blizzard. Grapes almost has that sound barrier, and I think that right now it's going to be really hard for them to get any value, because all they're going to have on the side of Aptyx is going to be this Flux, and if he's able to get that sound barrier up in time, but right now with the Blizzard, completely out of the question because Sheep is now dead. Boat able to get that hit off.
Yeah, that was a crucial early kill. The Grab Flux not going to be grabbing anything, though, from Vanguard. You might want that one back, but What's going to be cleaning up the kills. They say, don't worry, I got you, fam. As the Immort Field comes down, Grace just gets torn up in the face of Bastion. Actually going to be killed by another DJ on the field. And the cart's going to quickly ride to point. The May Blizzard trying to come out, not going to be finding it, though.
I mean, what an amazing first pick. You can't ask for a better first pick than that one onto Sheep there, completely taking that Blizzard out of the fight that they would have had relatively no answer to.
Yeah, maybe you have the Immort Field, but just, it cannot be understated how crucial that was. Just some amazing plays coming through from both sides. I want to talk about that last round we just saw, how long that defense at the choke was. It just seemed like a minute and a half was fought just because the Bastion did not want to peer that corner and the defense could contest it from that corner. It was very impressive coming out from the side of Moonlight to even buy that much time.
Yeah, and I think also there with Lionathan, or Nathaniel, actually, I just realized his name backwards. It's Nathaniel, so maybe he goes by Nathaniel, and we've just been a couple of foreheads this whole time, but who knows? He was getting picked off at the start of this fight pretty much every time he got back. So at the start of the fight, he got picked off, and then as soon as he got back, he got picked off again. But they were just able to use that Sigma Shield and still put through so much damage with that Bastion, keep the immortality field up to keep him from even dying by just keeping it around a wall. And so the fight was going to be won no matter what pretty soon there. I think that they did do an amazing job holding it there, though. They held that off for way longer than they probably should have. But like I said, Boat getting that pick on his sheep was probably that map win right there.
Yeah. I mean, it just cannot be understated. That was perhaps the most crucial play and the most crucial pick that could have happened for Aptyx. It worked out perfectly for them. You know, this is a game of inches, and if Boat misses that punch or that ability by, you know, just a few inches, maybe it goes an entirely different way. However, looking at the way it did go, Aptyx going to be up to ban the next map. Moonlight going to be having the favor of picking, and Zach, it's looking like it's leading Aptyx a little bit. What do you think they're going to ban?
What do I think Aptyx is going to ban? I have no clue what they're going to ban. They looked really good on the 2CP. They looked really good here on the payload map, or the hybrid map. They looked really good on King of the Hill. So right now, what they might want to ban, maybe just a regular payload map. Maybe they don't feel comfortable with those since there really is no form of point defense.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's kind of what they feel more comfortable with, is what I'm kind of thinking.
Yeah, and it looks like that's exactly what they're going to go with. Vanguard going to be making the call that Dorado no longer going to be in play for this evening's festivities, meaning that Moonlight still have quite a few maps that is to pick from. Hollywood and Eichenwald not going to be a factor here, as we don't play those back-to-back hybrid map types already. Back-to-back map types, really. But that means we do still have Gibraltar, Busan, Volskaya, and Hanamura. I don't know which of those is most likely.
I think they're probably going to want to pick a 2CP map. It's just kind of what they look the best on. I mean, you came over to the King of the Hill map, and Moonlight got absolutely rolled in that. There's no sugarcoating it. Aptyx did a great job. When it came to 2CP, they both gave up that first point a little bit fast, but they were able to hold that second point pretty much the whole time. And then they were able to have a really good defense again when it came to King's Row, and they just kept that 1 point under lock for so long. So I think that's definitely going to be the best thing that they can go with, and they go with Volskaya.
Yeah, but that does put Moonlight in kind of a tense situation. Even if they do win this one, not only will they not be able to pick the only other assault map that would be in the rotation, it's going to actually be up to Aptyx to pick their map for them. So they're going to really be working to try to make these maps count as much as possible. Of course, Assault, one of the most friendly maps to kind of get draws on. So they're going to have to really work just to pull ahead like they did in Anubis, because it came down to the wire in Anubis. There was a lot of time burned off of both clocks during that second point defense. And if Moonlight's not careful, we might see that again in Volskaya.
Yeah, I think both these teams just have amazing defenses. And it kind of came down to the wire for the same thing as King's Row. So I'm not going to be surprised to see that. But let us know who you think is surprising you by going down below and voting for your MVP. Whether it could be Boat getting that amazing pick over onto Sheep, or maybe you're really liking all these anti-nades that were coming in from Alexio at the start of the map here, or maybe like ZZ was able to get into that back line and just disrupt it completely, getting a pick or two and then just getting out with his life. And I think everybody here today is showing up really well. I think anybody could be a candidate right now for this MVP title.
Yeah, it certainly seems like it. There's not been a whole lot of slouching on the gameplay today, it seems, Zach. But we are about 30 seconds out from seeing the compositions in Volskaya. And do you think it's going to be more of the same?
Thinking about it, I think that it is going to be fairly similar. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the Pharah come out again. This map also being very open, and when you do want to close yourself near the point, you are kind of stuck in this smaller room. So maybe if you want to run like a Pharah Doomfist, or maybe a Pharah Reaper if you want to go with that route, I wouldn't be surprised with that. But it looks like right now on the defensive side, they're going to just choose to run the Bastion Pharah, and I mean that could be really good here. They have the Baptiste as well, which that immortality is just so crucial when you have that Bastion, because he's stuck in that one spot. And to get out of that spot, it takes him so long sometimes to just move around because he's not really that mobile of a character. He's very stationary in his play style. So that immortality can really help him out when he gets in a sticky situation.
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of Bastion lately, and it's ironic because today's the day we just saw the Bastion, I guess, nerfs come through where, some minor things have been tweaked about the character. Doesn't seem to be affecting the players at all. They're looking to really favor the Sentient Omnic.
Yeah, and I mean, who wouldn't? Bastion, I mean, he's a really reliable sort of damage output. He's always able to put out so much damage. But what it really came down to when he's finally getting picked up more is how the other characters are going to be able to play with him.
Yeah, and a big Immort field coming out from the attacking team. Bo going to be the first one to drop, however, despite that Immort field getting broken onto the side of Moonlight. Moonlight seeming to take man advantage early on. The res going to be coming through, however. Bo going to be brought right back up, not having to worry about that walk back. There is still no Immort field. And right now, nobody really seems to be having a commanding control over the point, but Sheep getting boat means a lot of damage is going to be gone. The rocket barrage coming through from What not going to be netting anything either. Right now, it is not looking too great for Aptyx as they continue to hemorrhage players on this point right now. And Vanguard trying their best to just stay resilient as possible, trying to eat up as much damage as possible. Not going to be going their way as Moonlight continue to flip the point.
And just like we saw in Temple of Anubis, a really good, fast first cap here. So now this is going to be the real playmakers, how fast they're going to be able, or if they're going to be able to, cap this second point. I think that right now it looks like it might be a little bit easier for them. No one really has any ults on play just quite yet. Still building up close to them. But if we're going to be looking at two people's ultimates in particular, I would really like to talk about the Sigmas because one has it to nearly 70% and the other one 30%. So right now, Vanguard, depending on how fast he can use this, could be what stops the steamroll from coming through.
There will be Linathan in the corner just trying to maintain some presence so they can't get the attacking team can't get too pressured onto the point. We're seeing the Pharah continue to be played here with a nice anti-nade onto Doge Fighter. What going to be seeking the opportunity onto that, trying to get that ult charge as much as possible. And right now the kills are going a little bit back and forth as we've been seeing throughout this series, but that's only going to be favoring the defensive team. Aptyx not going to be seeming to mind that too much. And a nice leap onto Scribbles, taken down with a couple rockets and a rock to the face by Vanguard, saying that's free of charge, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're getting those long-range sleeps onto somebody, it's always great because, you can just leave them there for a second, stall them out a little bit, and then just absolutely ruin their day by everybody using their abilities on them and them knowing, well, there's nothing I could have done about that. So maybe it's a little bit of a mental tilt game they're trying to play with there.
We will have to see if it is effective as the attackers. Moonlight going to have another opportunity here. Grapes trying to maintain some high positioning, however, that will leave them at a little bit of a disadvantage against Alexio. Alexio getting focused down a little bit, as is Boat. The Coalescence going to be coming out from Honey, who's trying to just pry a little pressure on to the Pharmacy combo. The Dragon's coming out trying to put Linathan in a bad spot. However, as the rotations come through, the defense seems to be getting the upper hand here, and a lot of ults used, but they're going to get value for him.
Yeah, now coming up on this next fight, though, this offense here is going to have a really good time if they're able to use these ultimates right. Because they didn't have to use sound barriers because they lost that fight. They didn't have it up. So there's not going to be a flux. They're going to have the sound barrier for the next fight. They're going to have the bongo for the next fight. They're close to Blizzard. They're going to have flux. So going that up against a Meteor Strike and a Nano, it's looking pretty favorable right now for Moonlight going into this next match. Or next fight. Rather.
ZZ will have their work cut out for them, however, so they're going to be hopping onto that McCree, perhaps to deal with the Pharah, most likely to deal with the Pharah, let's be honest here. As well, the Doomfist going to be a little bit wary to approach somebody with a flashbang that just stuns you in place, but we see Moonlight now trying to take that high ground. They're going to use the Maywall to make a little bridge right here. You got to like that creativity coming through there. And the Meteor Strike by Boat going to be landing right on to that amplifier. Grapes getting brought down as they try to use the sound barrier. You cannot let that happen. A lost ult. What will drop, but they're not going to be too bothered as ZZ might be the only one to attempt to get out of here safely. It's continuing to be just this McCree kind of lost in no man's land, attempting to take a dive, but Alexio going to finish him off before they do.
Yeah, and I mean, everything kind of went right there for Boat to use his Meteor Strike. Everyone got up top there, and they were all in that close quarters little room, so he was like, okay, I know I can reliably get this bongo if I land on it. I'm just going to land on the bongo, and because everyone's so close there, he still does massive damage to everybody. So What's just able to fire in those amplified rockets and just kind of clean up those kills.
Now we will be looking ahead. A few ults, Sheep having that Blizzard might be seeing an initiation with it, but instead we're going to be seeing the initiation with Linathan's damage bongo going out. However, will be blocked by the Mei wall for a little bit. A lot of damage being provided because of it, and the Coalescence to answer. We're seeing Doge Fighter kind of get put into a corner here, and the nano boosted Rocket Barrage, a big anti-nade by Alexio. A lot of plays coming through from the support player. Make sure you show them their love if you're liking what you're seeing. But with that being said, this is a very aggressive push forward by the defense. What, chasing Honey off a cliff, basically. And wow.
It feels like a rerun of Anubis. Honestly, it does. They lost that first point so fast, and it feels like they could have done a little bit better. But as soon as they get on the second point, they're playing like they're in the T1 scene, you know? It's like they're not giving up anything. And what? Just getting a far-range kill onto the enemy Mei Sheep. So now they're going to have to wait even longer going in here. And it's going to make it hard because you're running out of time. You're almost down to a minute, so you're probably going to only have like 2 more pushes here, maybe 1, depending on how long it can be spanned out.
Now, 1 or 2 pushes is probably the magic number as we move forward. Skarm trying to stay in the air, just provide as much pressure as possible. They're going to be aware that a lot of the team might be trying to go up onto that elevator. It looks like the side of Moonlight might decide against. They're going to be initiating with the Blizzard. The Meteor Strike in response. A lot of ults getting popped right now. A big anti-nade as we've been seeing coming through from Alexio. ZZ going to be popping that high noon, trying to find some angles with it, not using it just as a quick reload, as we see a lot of McCrees try to take the opportunity for. Linathan going to be brought down so dangerously low. However, we're going to have that shield up at the last minute, not getting dropped. That was a great opening for the attacking team, and in fact, it will be going their way. Looks like they might be getting a little bit of progress, which, if Anubis is anything to go off of, this is exactly what they need. Both getting hit by the Accretion, not able to extract in time, and the tick is going to go on the board for Moonlight. This is only building charge for him.
Yeah, and right now they just have to come in with stall to try to do something here. Linathan just rolling around that point, waiting for everybody to get back, and they're not able to take him out fast enough. People are just coming back faster and faster. Graves going to decide to use that barrier now going into this fight.
Yeah, and another rocket barrage coming through from What, however, will be getting the nano boost, and instead an Accretion to the face. It looks like the defense is going to be re-stemming a little bit here as we see What continuing to be on that Pharah. Sheep claiming some kills might not be enough as we see the quicker characters in Linathan as well as Vanguard come out. Baby Diva on the field. Worth noting, no mech. Feels a little bit naked, but not going to be too bothered as they get it back just in time. And now we're seeing these stall characters come out from the attacking side. Moonlight trying to get there as quickly as possible. Doge Fighter going to be brought down, and just like that, points going to tick down, and Aptyx actually going to be getting a defense in.
Yeah, so there's no chance for a draw to happen here. So on the side of Moonlighter, they're going to have to do a really good job holding these points because this is their last chance. They have to win this map and then win the next map to actually take this series. Meanwhile, Aptyx really only needs to cap the first point and then about 2/3 of the next. So I think they're going to have to play a really strong defense. Hopefully they're able to do it on the first point, because if the first point goes by fast, that's just going to be so hard for them to hold that second point. But we've seen them do it on Anubis, so who knows? It's still going to be a coin toss, even if they do cap it right away. Like I still wouldn't know.
Yeah, it's from what I've seen of both these teams, this map could go either way. Of course, Moonlight seeming to be a little bit more favored on these assault type maps, but it's all in how it's going to pan out. Aptyx now having to set their own motion. They can win it with this one, as you mentioned. And looking onto the defense, we're seeing something a little bit different here. We're seeing actually some Winston Diva come through here, Zach.
Yeah, and you don't see the dive as much anymore, but the dive can still be very effective, especially when the enemy team may be running a Bastion, because you could have that Diva going in with the defense matrix to completely negate all sorts of damage that Bastion will be trying to output there, and making it able for everyone to just kind of pounce onto them and put in that damage. And I think that's kind of what they're going to be looking for. Maybe they'll have their snipers in very different positions to try to get a crossfire going on to kind of negate those double shields being through there. I think it's going to be really hard, but I think if they're going to want to try to do it, this wouldn't be a bad team comp to do it with.
Yeah, and not only the dive tanks, we're going to be having the double snipers as well, providing a lot of distance to keep themselves separated from the Bastion, but Grapes
they
getting a
teleport around
triple
the
kill.
side.
getting the triple kill with that boop. That was pretty massive. We're going to be seeing the Immort field coming out from Alexio just to wait for those respawns, perhaps provide a little bit more ult charge. But now Grapes has to walk it back to point a little bit. Not going to be too bothered as they're probably feeling pretty high on themselves for that boop.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who quite saw that. I think it might have been Zizi, who was a little close up there with the Widow, or someone called it out that they weren't pushing through the middle. They were going out to the side, and Graves just hurry up, ran over there, was able to get the boop off, and I mean, that was awesome. That's exactly what you want to see from a Lucio. That's a Moth play right there if I've ever seen one.
We'll be provoking these swaps to come through from Aptyx, and we're seeing Dogefighter try to do a little bit of point contest, just providing that threat of having that Winston jump up there. Has to be a little bit careful though, as might take quite a bit of damage from that Doomfist. And Dogefighter going to be dropping that bubble real early, and it's going to get broken even quicker. Boat taking down ZZ. That is the damage, well, at least one of the range damage threats from the defending team gone. Dogefighter jumping and noping out of the situation. The tanks effectively MIA as Dogefighter trying to maintain the point will not work, and it looks like we're going to be seeing another quick first point take.
Yeah, and at the start of that fight, you could see that What and Boat both went up to the high ground to try to stir up some things up there. They were able to get a few picks, and that took away the attention from possibly giving heals onto the people that were onto the point, them being the tanks. So it just made it really hard to hold that point because everyone was split up, everybody was taking damage, and it's like you just had to pick a group that you were going to heal.
As we see this fight move forward, now going to be a little bit of a different tank lineup, seeming to switch for the Wiser. And What getting taken out rather early might be a quick pullback from this offensive team, looking like they don't want to initiate that early into a fight with a 5v6.
Yeah, I mean, you have plenty of time to play with here. There's no point in going in too fast and giving the enemy team just a little bit extra ult charge because you weren't quite ready, especially since they had to make so many swaps. And the beat able to come out, though, now with the Coalescence makes it really hard for most progress to be pushed.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing the grab flux come through. However, the tank's kept alive by Honey on that Moira, at least for a little bit. That was the plan before Vanguard came through, clearing a path with that Sigma. And it looks like Aptyx does not want a repeat of Anubis. They are getting aggressive on this point. They're going to be taking that first tick as well. And it's looking so good for them right now.
And yeah, no one's able to make it to the point. That was a great take by Aptyx there. They knew what happened on Anubis. They knew that they were not quite able to take that, and it was just because that little bit of time, that little bit of extra time, so they wanted to hurry up, get in there as fast as they could and take that and play the game. Right now we're seeing Grapes, no surprise, eating that 3-man boop. Oh, he was already over there. Oh, he was ready for it. Actually, I take that back. I thought maybe the call out was made, maybe it was made still, but he was ready for it, able to get 3 off, and then he throws himself in the drink. Why not, you know?
Yeah, it was a voluntary dip into the cold water. I mean, again, you're gonna be feeling pretty good about that if you're a Lucio. Not perhaps not the most crucial. It did just kind of spark a comp switch. You know, they tried to do something a little cheeky, didn't quite work out for them. And you know, now we get on to the end of the game. Of course, Aptyx Esports going to be taking it away, and hopefully we're going to be getting somebody in with us, Zach, to have a little bit of a chat, talk with us, see what things were like from their point of view.
Yeah, you know, I always love chatting with one of the teammates from the winning team after the fact that they've won, because you can definitely get more of an insight as to what may have been going on during the game, what may be happening after or before it as well, depending on what exactly they are willing to say. Because, you know, some teams don't like really, or most teams, I should say, don't really like talking about what they kind of do as preparation as much, because it kind of lets out a little bit of maybe something that could be used against them going into another match. So, I mean, I think it's just always great to get an insight. With that being said, though, of course, they don't have to come in if they don't want to. It's never a requirement, you know. If they want to come in and have a chat, they can come in and have a chat. If they don't want to, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying it'd be a great time to plug yourself as the Twitch MVP, which we do still have going for the next couple of minutes. So make sure you're throwing those votes in if you wanted to wait and see the entirety of this game to make that decision. I think that a few more players have definitely kind of put their name in that bucket for who might be, you know, one of the most standouts. We will be waiting a little bit before we give out those results, but while it looks like Aptyx going to be a little bit quiet, Zach, did you have any favorite plays from these last few games?
Favorite plays? I mean, you know, Bo getting that kill onto Sheep, What getting in on the start of King's Row and doing a Death Blossom that's able to pick up 2 and then make it really hard for them to go in and continue with the fight. But I think all in all, my MVP around here is Alexio, just being an absolute, like, you couldn't ask for a better support. They were doing great on the Moira. They were hitting great nades on Ana. I mean, there's not much more you can ask for when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you talk about Moira, the ult charge doesn't really say a whole lot, because when you're playing a tightly clustered team, it's going to do a massive amount of healing. So I think there was definitely some good opportunities there for Alexio to kind of flex a little bit. But we do finally have word from Aptyx. They will be sending somebody into the caster's booth to have us pester for a little bit, and it's going to be Vanguard. Vanguard, how you feeling, my friend?
No, I'm feeling good. I always feel good after a win.
Fantastic. It was a well-played game. And we're just gonna come here and ask you a few questions, nothing too high stress. I'll go ahead and start off, if I may. When you guys kind of hopped into the first game, I believe it was Temple of Anubis. That second point looked kind of neutered for both teams. Was there a point where you guys kind of had to shake off the cobwebs for those next coming maps, or how did you change that mindset?
Yeah, that was basically, you should have heard our coaches. It was basically, you know, like, all right, we're making a lot of mistakes. We don't ever make in scrims. Like, it's just sort of that thing that happens to a lot of teams on match day, where you're just like playing a little bit differently, trying to carry a little bit more maybe, or pop off for the stream and things like that. But yeah, you kind of have to always play like you're just doing everything you've done in practice before. So we kind of put that mentality in place for the next couple maps, and it got a lot easier for us.
It certainly seemed to show. Zach, do you have any questions?
Yeah, with Sigma now coming in and him being meta pretty much right out the gate, was there a lot of practicing him and maybe just getting to know his kit a bit more as we progress here through the meta? Where you did you kind of understand that he was going to be meta when he first came out, or maybe did you think, okay, well, maybe he's going to be a niche pick?
Well, this might be a long answer. So in the beginning of Sigma, all of us were confused. Like, all of us were like, what is he? Main tank? Off tank? What character is he actually okay with? Is he going to be meta, or is he going to be, like, never used at all? So there was a lot of awkward phases with that. Then once, like, double shield became a comp, basically everyone adopted it immediately. I started playing Sigma immediately. I all trick, so I, like, love getting my hands on the characters immediately and trying to get all their abilities down. So yeah, I did practice him a good amount. My role queue beta was probably a lot of him. I feel like, honestly, I didn't get him down until, like, right when I got to, like, my second scrim or something, because I just went into practice range and was like, all right, how does this primary fire work? It's the most awkward projectile in the entire game, but I got it down. He has super high potential, though, like, in all of his abilities and even his primary.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when it comes down to when you're playing him in a kind of team comp that has this double barrier, we see a lot of different DPS actually come through. Which DPS do you think actually work the best with Sigma? They don't have to particularly be meta right now, but who do you kind of see pairing with Sigma rather well?
It's a tricky question, because, like, for Bastion comp, he's obviously really helped by that, because you can double it up, and what a lot of, like, Sigmas aren't really abusing yet is if you're in a Bastion v Bastion, or even if it's just you running a Bastion in general, is when your shields go down finally, Sigma just shifts, and then he gets a lot of his shield recharging during that, and he blocks everything in front of the Bastion and heals himself up. That's a really important thing to know in this meta if you're running any sort of Bastion comps. It's basically the full 2 seconds, freeing that up and getting your cooldown rotation back. So with him in a Bastion comp, with Baptiste Field 2, you will never die, basically, unless they're running their own Bastion or having their own, like, damage increasing ultimates or something like that. So he's definitely one of the best, but also any character that you need to, like, escort in mid-battle or can get a kill off of stun targets is really good for him too.
Yeah, and you being such a good Sigma player, and we've seen it here today, is there one specific tip that you would want to give to somebody who may be taking up the character, or who maybe just been playing it for a long time? Like, I play him a lot myself. I'm about like a 3900 4K player. You know, what's something that I could bring more as a Sigma player to my games, or someone to their game?
All right, so I already gave one with the abusing of shift, just how powerful that is. Basically, every one of his abilities can be ridiculously powerful if you know the right situation to use it. Like, for what I said, you can wall off your team with shift if they're running a lot of things that don't go through his shift. So you can use that as basically a surrogate shield. For his stun, any character like Doomfist that needs to come in and get out quickly, you can punish them severely because it can't be blocked by anything but bubble. So then you can take them out of the fight very quickly and punish them that way. His ult, you just got to make sure that this shift meta, which is, Reaper shift, Orisa shift, May shift, nothing dies meta, you have to make sure those are forced out first, and any sort of Orisa pull can set that up and instant kill it. And his primary fire, learn how to use it on cooldowns and environment. It's not that hard, and it's crazy effective, and can secure a lot of kills for you if you get used to it.
Yeah, all right. Well, I mean, thank you for answering so many questions. Waltham, you got any more questions while I'm still here?
Just one more, and it's not even a question. You got any final words for us, Vanguard?
Follow my team's socials on Twitter, Aptyx Esports. Go through all that. Join our Discord if you want, I guess, if that's okay. I don't know, but support us through other matches. We love you guys. Hope we're entertaining you out here.
Well, you heard it here first, Twitch chat. You got the VIP invite from Vanguard. Go and flood the Discord. Go ahead and post all your good or terrible memes. They've given you the thumbs up on that. But Vanguard, we're gonna go ahead and be wrapping it up here. Thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with us.
Thank you.
All right. And now with that being said, while we still wait here for the MVP, don't forget, September, go ahead, sub, it's half off. Support that T3 community that we're trying to run here and really give these players a platform to show how good they are at this game, which you're going to be able to see today. So don't forget, follow, subscribe, half off right now, might as well. Or if you really don't feel like paying that, some people are cheap. I'm a cheap guy. So just even the follow, much appreciation always. It really helps out.
Absolutely. And with that, the last bit of business we have before we sign off for about 30 to 40 minutes will be the MVP. And I'm happy to announce that it is going to be Scribbles popping in, getting the MVP from the side of Moonlight. So congratulations, Scribbles, for getting that MVP. As well, congratulations to Aptyx for taking the win over Moonlight. Hopefully it's not the last time we've seen Moonlight, but it will be the last time for this tournament. Aptyx will be carrying on through the losers bracket. But from those of us here at the Overwatch All-Stars Brawl, for myself, I have been Sir Waltham. You can catch me on Twitch or Twitter at Sir Waltham.
And I have been Poor Zach. You can catch me on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all Poor Zach. My Twitter's a little weird because I had to use like O's or zeros instead of O's. It was a little messed up. But I play a lot of Overwatch. I play around a Grandmaster level, relatively speaking, flex tank. So if you want to stop in and just kind of hang out, that's always cool. Don't be afraid to. I'm always here.
Fantastic. And once again, we hope you guys have a great night and stay safe out there, everyone.